Yuji was once a regular worker in a company and he worked hard to the bone. Then one day, Oho-kun, who is the upcoming rival of our honorable Truck-kun, got him reincarnated in another world. And then he reincarnated as a tamer, which was considered the weakest of all classes. But thanks to our studios and intelligent slimes, he befriended and got a vast range of skills and abilities, along with the ability of second-class sage, but he keeps it hidden from the world as he works as an adventurer. Then we saw Yuji being attacked by a monster in the forest. Yuji called his slime for backup and they instantly defeated the dangerous monster. After that, we see an adventurers guild. A man was laughed by all his friends and the others thought that he was crazy because he saw a slime who could cast fire spell. Everyone thought that slimes were weak and they said that weak slimes can't use magic. Then Yuji appeared in the guild and Yuji completes a difficult quest and receptionist was shocked. However, the guild master Agis was called and he couldn't believe that Yuji is just an ordinary tamer. And the guild master bought all the herbs that he collected. Suddenly, an adventurer appeared and he reported that they have problems in the forest and they learned that a strong monsters appeared in the forest. Yuji learned from his slimes that the monsters running to the town and the guild master told the adventurer that several thousand monsters will attack the town and he wanted everyone to flee out of the town with the residents. The adventurer refused as they wanted to save their town. Then suddenly, Yuji said that he had an idea to eliminate the monster. Yuji showed the adventurers a dragon fang and said that he could cast a powerful attack as a tamer with the dragon fangs, so he suggested that he will destroy all the monsters with a dragon fire breath. They were unsure if Yuji could mimic a dragon's attack by himself. Suddenly, an adventurer looked at Yuji's slime and he said to the guild master that they can all trust Yuji, the adventurer. Then everyone is prepared to protect the city. And why Yuji some time? Meanwhile, Yuji's proud wolf collected all his scattered slime in the forest and then slimes were all battle junkies and they were looking forward to fighting. The enemies then, the adventurer waited for the attacking monster. They can throw bombs on the enemies, so first monster appeared and Yuji prepared his area attack and then adventurer start fighting and Yuji also activated his spells. Yuji planned to attack in 15 minutes and he used his magical coding skills. Just then Yuji searched for a suitable skill and Team Dryad reported the sighting of an unknown person and a mysterious man that left behind a red crystal stone. Yuji said that he will build a barrier on top of the crystal stone. This is how his slimes group were teleported to the crystal stone. After that, the mysterious man was caught by the slime. Following this, Yuji transformed his magic to the slimes and he managed to seal the crystal stone. Suddenly, the caught criminal started to commit suicide and he drank a poison. Then all the slimes were collected and they could immediately start to casting his powerful fire spell. Meanwhile, the adventurers fought against the dangerous monster. Following this, Yuji ordered his prize wolf to do a special task for him. Also, part of the slimes was sent to support the adventurer. So the slime attacked the monsters with fire magic. The monsters were pushed back and Yuji created a huge barrier around the city. Then Yuji told Lily to call the adventurer back to town. After that, the slime could also prepare for their attack. They all went back to the city and scattered around the city. The slime all around took their position, but one monster was causing trouble. Then Yuji ran out of time and two adventurers wanted to sacrifice themselves. But Yuji's proud wolf saved the adventurer in time and he attacked the monster and saved the two adventurers. Following this, Yuji launched his attack and activated his barrier first. Then Yuji attacked with his skill Hellfire. Yuji created a huge explosion that killed all the monsters instantly and the adventurers were impressed by Yuji. Then Yuji defeated most of the monsters, but some monsters survived after the attack and Yuji was running out of MP. But Yuji decided to launch a second attack. Following that, he activated his second attack and he was able to defeat the remaining monster. Yuji saved the city and he passed out from exhaustion. In the evening, Yuji woke up again and his slimes and Lily were happy that Yuji isn't injured. Meanwhile, Guildmaster Agis discovered the cause of the monster attack and they returned to the city. Then we see Yuji eating some soup and he liked Lily's self-cooked soup and the others celebrated their victory against the strong monsters. Lily then asked why he was risking his life to save everyone and she immediately understood that he didn't want to talk and walked out of his room with a smile. Then Yuji remembered his previous life as an office worker. When the night was over, Lily checked on Yuji and he disappeared to the night. Then we see Yuji and his slimes asking him why he wanted to go to the next town right away. Then Yuji replied that he didn't want to get a lot of attention as a hero. So they went to the next town the next morning. The guildmaster learned that the hero Yuji had already left during the night. Suddenly, Lily notices an item from an evil organization. The guildmaster sent a report to the central guild. Meanwhile, Yuji's slime discovered the next town. So Yuji arrived in a new town with his powerful familiars, and his familiar followed Yuji while he was looking around the city of Kilia. And the slime wanted to eat meat for lunch. Yuji drew a lot of attention with his many slimes. Then they discovered a man who sells tasty meat. Yuji brought up all the meat of his shop and he fed his slimes. The proud wolf and slimes taste the tasty meat. Suddenly, Yuji heard a bell ring and found out that a member of Central Guild is in town. After lunch, Yuji wanted to do some quest. Yuji has been underestimated because he is a tamer who is usually very big. Then the receptionist remarked that Yuji is suitable for difficult quests. After that, Yuji was looking for a quest. Suddenly, he approached by a group of adventurers. They wanted to invite Yuji to their party. But Rodis thought Yuji was useless as a tamer for the fight against monsters. Then Lisa and Tina asked if he was good at tracking monsters. They wanted to have Yuji in their party. However, they decided to take Yuji in their party to do a quest together. Following this, Yuji and his party set off to their quest. They have the quest to find the whereabouts of an earth dragon, and they thought Yuji is weak tamer. As a result, he was tasked with the tracking down enemies monster and didn't need to fight. So Yuji asked his familiar if they can sense enemies in their area. Yuji ordered his slime not to wipe out the monster because he wanted to find out the strength of his party. Following this, Yuji warned his party that he located 5 enemy monsters in their area. Rhodes was looking forward to the fight and he immediately ran to fight against the monsters. Then they were surrounded by the monster group and Yuji party got ready to attack the wolves. And then wolves attacked them and Rhodes used his dagger to defeat the monster. Rhodes managed to kill all the monsters alone with his dagger. His party thanked Rhodes for their rescue. Meanwhile, the slimes complained that they wanted to fight against the big monster. Following this, Yuji moved on and they took a break in the evening. Then they had a dinner and Yuji started his chicken drumstick with his cute slimes. Yuji praised his slime in front of Tina, so other slimes were happy that Yuji is praising them. After that, Tina asked how Yuji got so good at tracking monster. The girls kept asking and they wanted to learn more about Yuji. Yuji didn't want to say what he could say. Suddenly, Rhodes stand up and he said that they should get going to sleep, as he said that they will keep watching different ships so that no bandit attack their group. And at night, Yuji was surprised that Rhodes is a polite and nice guy. Then we see Yuji, he transferred into an isekai world. Yuji was surprised as he thought he was just imagining it. Suddenly, he met a little slime and Yuji tamed it. Little slime wanted Yuji to go with him, so Yuji followed the slime and he took Yuji to the abandoned house. Then Yuji discovered that many grimoires and he realized that by reading them, he can learn all the spells. Suddenly, Yuji notices more slime appearing and they all wanted to be tamed by Yuji. And they were happy to become Yuji familiars. As a result, all slimes were reading books and Yuji immediately learned all the spells written in grimoires. And his stat also increases to the height level. Suddenly, Yuji realized that he could talk to his slimes through telepathy. After that, we see Yuji back in the present and he has woken up by his slime. They reported that Rhodes ran to unknown location. In addition, Yuji learned that Tina and Lisa also disappeared. Then we see Rhodes suddenly stopped on his way and Tina and Lisa found him suspicious and they went after Rhodes without Yuji. They thought Yuji was weak and didn't want to put him in danger. Suddenly, Rhodes felt the presence of a person and he threw his knife at Yuji's slime. But Yuji had activated the invisibility skills and his slimes was unharmed. Suddenly, Rhodes went deeper into the forest and he discovered traps. He was able to avoid them all and he intended to go to a secret place. Then the girls wondered what Rhodes was doing in the abandoned house. Then Rhodes reported to his boss that he had 2 girls and a guy in his party. Yuji learned that Rhodes belongs to a group of bandits who enslaved people and the group of bandits decided to kidnap only the girls and Rhodes was aware that they were following him into the forest. The bandit group then wanted to start their kidnapping of the 2 girls and sell them to rich noble. Then suddenly the bandit boss attacked his henchman and the girl wanted to go back to escape with Yuji. But they unintentionally activated a trap that signaled an alarm. They also activated a trap and they managed to fool the bandit. Meanwhile, Yuji got ready to defeat the bandit with one of his powerful skills. Following Yuji's slime went to the battle, they positioned themselves in front of the bandit hideout. Then Yuji transferred his magic spell to the slimes and they froze the bandit into a giant block of ice. All the bandits were defeated and the slimes got the bandit out of the ice block. Lisa and Tina couldn't believe Yuji's slimes are overpowered and then they learned that he unintentionally caught a dangerous bandit boss called Gallius. However, the bandits were stored in the stomach of his slimes. After that, the 3 of them decided to continue the quest. The next day, suddenly Yuji threw a slime into the sky and he looked for a suitable place to camp. Following this, Yuji took care of finding a place to sleep for his party. The girls marveled at Yuji's powers and his slimes as he set up a sleeping place in just a short moment. The girls fell asleep sleep peacefully, and Yuji was thinking about the words of the bandit boss. The bandit boss said that something bad would happen. After that, the moon turns blue. Meanwhile, a mysterious priest was also looking at the moon, and the next morning Yuji and the girls went for looking for a giant earth dragon. Suddenly, they felt a strong wind, and a slime of Yuji was looking at the dragons on a tree. Then his other slimes went looking for the earth dragon. Yuji reported that his slime didn't find anything, but the girls encouraged him and said that they believed in his overpowered slimes. Then Yuji remembered the day he took his exams as an adventurer. His huge magic power accidentally destroyed a magic crystal. After that, the candidate had to try to destroy a huge rock. Yuji only used a big fire spell, and he didn't know that wordless spells are high level magic, so he wanted to cast another spell again, and he called the fireball. Then he destroyed the huge rock, and the others were shocked by Yuji's enormous power. Following this, Yuji decided not only to use low rank spells and didn't show anyone, then he could use strong spells while searching for the earth dragon. Yuji defeated all the monsters around them with all of his cute slime. His slimes wiped out all the monsters out, and they left no traces. Suddenly, the girls wondered that they haven't encountered any monster in the forest. Yuji told them that his slimes defeated every monster, so they were shocked. After that, the sky turned purple, and nobody knew what happened to the sky. The slime reported that they can sense something spooky in the sky. Priya-style was then told that blue moon pretend evil, and he said that a prophecy will come when the blue moon appears in the sky. So he showed the guild master Ray a book about the legend of blue moon. A gigantic dragon then appeared from the sky, capable of destroying all the humanity. Then Yuji immediately ordered his proud bull to collect the slime in the forest. Then the girls wondered why the sky is back to normal. Yuji replied that a giant dragon, stronger than an earth dragon, appeared far away. So Yuji group decided to hide in Delight Canyon. Yuji learned that Delight Canyon is a safe zone because a strong monster avoid that palace. Meanwhile, his familiar searched the canyon for monster. Then Yuji transferred his spells to his familiar, and his slimes instantly defeated all the monster with ease. Followed that, they felt a strong wind, and the slimes were almost swept away. They looked for the cause of the wind, so they found a small cave and a strong wave coming out of the hole, which looked very suspicious. Then we see Yuji party in the canyon, and they found the defeated monster, and Yuji said that his slime defeated them. Meanwhile, Proud Wolf ran away from a huge bear, and he was terrified, so a slime attacked the bear with a fire spell, and the bear died instantly. The slimes then remarked that they made their way out through Delight Canyon, and then a little slime reported to Yuji that they encountered no more a strong monster. Suddenly, the earth trembled, and earth dragon that they were looking for appeared in front of Lisa and Tina, and they were scared because their quest was to scout out the monster, but now they had no chance to defeat him, and they wanted to hide. Then Yuji wanted to defeat the earth dragon, and girls said that earth dragon is too strong. Then following this, Yuji began fighting the dragon with the slimes. He first attacked the dragon with beak magic that didn't damage the monster. Yuji noted that he must use high level magic, but he didn't want to reveal his true strength. Suddenly, the earth dragon attacked Tina and Lisa, and Yuji managed to save them both in time, and they thanked Yuji for saving them. Yuji came up with a plan against the dragon, and it curled up and attacked Yuji. Followed the slimes, they attacked the dragon together, and he lured the earth dragon into a trap. Yuji's plan was a complete success, and he managed to cause a sandstorm. No one could see their fighting anymore, and Yuji prepared a high level spell. So Yuji aimed at earth dragon, and he shoots him with a powerful fire spell, and the whole environment exploded, and the girls got scared after what they saw, that the earth dragon was burned. Tina thought his slime had ignited explosive rock to cause the explosion, so they didn't suspect that Yuji is super strong hero. Then they later returned to the guild, and they reported defeating the earth dragon. The receptionist was shocked because Yuji's group was only supposed to scout the dragon, and following this, Yuji's slime threw out the head of the earth dragon, and he also showed the cause of member Rudus. Meanwhile, Guildmaster Ray learned about the defeated earth dragon. As a result, Yuji party received a large amount of money as a reward for defeating the bandit and the earth dragon. Suddenly, Ray appeared, and he wanted to talk with Yuji. However, we see Yuji in a meeting. The Guildmaster was talking about a big problem. Yuji was then to report what the dragon he saw in the forest looked like. Yuji used a spell that he can turn his memories into an image, so he printed out a picture, and Guildmaster was horrified after the priest showed a book full of legend and said that the legendary dragon appears after the appearance of blue moon. The dragon is capable of destroying a continent in just 3 days. And also, priest said that 30 years ago, a legendary hero capable of defeating the dragon appeared, and Guildmaster Ray suspected that the legendary dragon appeared because the spirit ceremony was held 30 years ago, which should show an effect after 30 years. They were sure that the dragon was summoned through the ceremony. Suddenly, Yuji Slam reported that the blue dragon was getting bigger, and Yuji reported that that his slimes are currently observing the blue dragon. Then the adventurers are frightened by the emergency situation, and Guildmaster decided not to give up without a fight. After that, the slimes got delicious lunch and they thanked Yuji for their tasty meat. Then Tina and Lisa showed up and they suspected that Yuji wants to fight the blue dragon. They wanted to support Yuji and they said that with Yuji by their side, they can't lose. After that, Priest appeared and he wanted to give Yuji a legendary weapon. Priest gave Yuji a rusted dagger from the legendary hero who appeared 30 years ago. Yuji looked at the dagger and he discovered a powerful ability, and Yuji asked why he got the weapon. And Priest told him that the gods chose him, and in the evening, Yuji worried about the adventurer who wanted to fight against the blue moon dragon. Suddenly, the slime reported that the slime dragon got even bigger, and Yuji thought back to the time when he decided to use only big magic to hide his abilities. Then he decided to fight dragon with all his power. Following this, Yuji set off with his familiar to seek out the dragon. That they found the giant dragon, and Yuji ordered the slime to prepare for battle. Yuji's slimes were ready for battle, and Yuji chose a stronger spell. Yuji shared his senses with all his slime, and he attacked the dragon with his Hellfire spell. The dragon was resistant to any element, and he started to get angry. The blue eyes white dragon began to launch a wide spread attack, and Yuji noticed that he was fighting a blue white dragon and that could not shoot laser beams. Following this, Yuji then saved himself using his barrier spell, and the dragon begins to absorb magic from the forest and grows even bigger. And the slimes ask Yuji if he has any more plans. Then he can only rely on the dagger of Catfish and decide to get close to the blue dragon to launch a powerful blow. Then they jump down the cliff, but the dragon attacks them again, and Yuji blocks the attack using barrier, which shatters with just one hit, and he lands safely and runs the dragons, who is getting ready for another big attack. But Yuji throws a slime at him and transfer the barrier spell to it to stop the attack. He just gotten under the dragon now when he jumps by using physical barrier as a stepping stones and reaches the dragon's level, who wants to get in with another energy beam. But Yuji managed to stop it by using a fireball from a slime. Then he charges at the dragon and stabbed his eye and then blast his brain by concentrating the Hellfire of Demise spell through the dragon's tip. As you think that the dragon has been defeated, but it sends him crashing into cliff with just a swing of its tail. The blue dragon is severely injured and furious now, and he gets ready for a rampage. Yuji is already in depth when it comes to his MP, and his SP is not much better. But then the dragon attacks him again, and he puts the barrier up to stop the attack, but it keeps on breaking them. And now he decided to use a powerful divine spell and he frees the dragon, but he gets the message that he can use the divine strike spell in the next 45 seconds. So Yuji uses divine strike first and stuns the dragon using a giant lightning attack. And then he gets on his wolf and leaps at the dragon, stabbing its neck and then causing Hellfire of Demise again. Using this attack, it is strong enough, and Yuji blasted off the blue dragon, who vanishes into the dazzling fireworks, and the sky and the moon return to the normal again. But as he returns home, Yuji does not want anyone to notice that, and the residual energy from his battle with the dragon is having a strange effect on the surrounding area. The next morning, Captain Eyepatch wakes up Yuji and says that he learned through pre-style that someone has defeated the blue dragon, and it is obvious who did it. And Eyepatch tells him that he could have called for backup when he went to fight. Then the dragon later, then that day, he was having lunch with Tina and Lisa, who talk about how the dragon was defeated and they did not get a chance to fight. And on the bonus, Yuji tells them that he is going to another town soon, and he wants them to recommend anything good to him. Lisa suggests a nearby town with great food, and he thought he is excited. He wants to make sure that no dragons will be there, so Yuji departs for the next town and leaves some of his slimes with the girls in case of an emergency. But on the way, he receives a message from Dyad, who needs him to see something. He goes for the location and she wants to show him the mushroom they grew where he fought the dragon, and says that these mushrooms will help him unravel the truth of the world if he smokes them. Dyad says that she can make sage potion and mana restoring potion at the highest level with them, and Yuji ordered his slime to pick all the mushroom in the area. She starts making blue potion with that because she knows the recipe from Breaking Bad, but she needs really pure water to finish it, and Yuji teaches her how to create distilled water. Then Dyad begins talking about how they first met, and when she was in a terrible condition, he saved her by sharing some of his magic with her. She told him that someone left a magic stone that stole all her power in the life of the forest. With it, Yuji dispelled the curse from the stone. Then she told him that someone has left a magic stone that stole all her power in the life of the forest, and then Yuji dispelled the curse from the stone. Then a lot of monsters come out of it, and he covered them in barriers before running them down with hellfire. Dyad was really thankful, so she helped him by giving him the rare medical flower, and he gave to the guild in the first town. town. And from then, she become an alive now. Yuji asks her why the potion color is like a magic stone, and Dad replies that it was because of dragon's grace and the power left behind when a dragon dies, and that was present both in mushroom and in the stone. And it was natural power, but in the wrong hand, it could bring about a lot of destruction. Then the water distillation is done, and the Dad finally finishes making the blue stuff, but she is happy and hugs Yuji before giving him the promised potion and heading back to her home. He moves on to the next scene, but there is a thick fog in the way, and the wolf picks up human scent, and it followed the scent, and it comes to a small village hidden in the forest with a lot of people who were smiling suspiciously at Yuji and his group. The village chief greets him and asks him to stay the night here, as it is dangerous to walk through the fawn at late hours. But since Yuji refuses, he asks him to at least join them for dinner. The chief offers him a half-eaten bun and some wine, and Yuji realizes he is not hungry. The chief then asks him how he come to their village, and Yuji replies that he was going to the next town, but he got sidetracked by the fog and the people are staring at him, and the chief says that the people here are not used to travelers. Yuji takes his leave after learning that, and this village was called Messias, and he keeps feeling that something was really weird about the place, and he continues his journey, and he is about to reach his destination. But as soon as it is visible, he finds that the town was covered in snow, and yet another weird situation awaits him. He walks to the town with the weather suddenly turning into summer to winter, and the cold is harsher than he can bear. So if he looks around his skills and finds that he can use an isolation barrier to keep himself warm. As soon as he goes into the gate, Yuji learns from guard that weather suddenly changed 10 days ago, and people had even died because of it. The guard even tells him where to find delicious food, but the town looks so empty, and Yuji finds the best restaurant in the town that they have run out of wood, trying to keep themselves warm. They have no hope of opening anytime soon, and they cannot even harvest wood right now because it would give off more smoke and less heat. So he decided to take care of the things by going to the nearby forest. He does not even know what the trees they use for cooking, and he summons his battle axe and cuts down all the trees in his range. He turns the trees into firewood logs and finds that he can command the slimes to absorb the moisture from them, and the woods get ready soon enough, and he takes it to the chief, who says that the wood is too dry and its heat will be too strong for cooking. So Yuji adds a bit of moisture back into the wood and turns it into the perfect firewood. The chef is overwhelmed by the quality, and he gives a whole lecture about it before getting on his job, and saying that he was going to prepare something special with this. And then she tells him that he can have more wood if he wants, and a pile of log in the kitchen is enough to knock the chef store off, and slime rehydrate the firewood to make it just perfect. And then the chef prepares the best piece of steak Yuji has ever eaten. After being fully satisfied, he hears that this was not even the best dish of the restaurant, but the town did not have enough firewood, so the chef decided to make something quick, and she wants to taste the dish. So he does the guild where all the quests are about firewood gathering, and receptionists send him to the eastern gate to meet the firewood collection. And the charge was Vodka, who is a man who has dedicated his life to the ending forest by cutting them down, because he does not like the irritating teens who talks about saying that about environment, and he explained that how they could not provide enough wood to the town when even with nearly village helping them. Yuji asks him if Messias village is helping them too, but Vodka replies that it has been deserted for a long time. That is strange, but Yuji decided to focus on cutting wood right now, as he cuts a dozen of trees with one swing, and he shocks Vodka and all the other woodcutter that he asks about the standard size needed by the guild, and Vodka can only nod as Yuji finishes the work in seconds. He then dries it with the help of lime and get ready to cut some more. He takes the wood back to the guild where the receptionist is shocked at his skills, and Yuji learned from her about a legendary monster tamer who also used to carry things with the help of his slimes. He decided to ask Style about it, and the next time they meet, but now he has to deposit all the woods he harvested after destroying the nearly forest. That will last only the town for 3 days, and soon Yuji destroys the nearby forest too, and he cuts down every tree in sight, making Vodka happy and jealous at the same time. The next day he goes back to the restaurant for their world famous stew, and there was a big bang of flavors in his mouth, and that is totally worth the hard work. And he did yesterday, but the chef said that it is not still the best work, as the sauce of the herd was being damaged by the monster who ate their best stuff. Yuji only asked them what kind of monster is before heading to the herb farm, and he divides his slimes into 2 teams to protect the field and hunt the monster, and a search and destroy team finds the monster destroying the field, which is a giant boar who looks like a triceratops. Yuji sent his fireball powerful magic to the slime, and they roast the pig harder than you can roast your own friends. And then they proceeded to hunt down every monster in the area. But then the slimes find a beard round crystal, and even Drad has no idea about if Yuji touched it. And he find out more and start to absorb his power, and he concludes that it must be the dragon grace. Drad think that this might be the case because it is absorbing too much magic from the area, and that turn out that it can become a cold region. And on top of that, she tells him that it was man-made because it releases human magic, and Yuji decided to purify the stone with his dispel spell. Then Yuji orders other slimes to spread out and find more magic crystal like this, and the entire area is filled with them. And using a map, he finds that they have placed in the form of a perfect circle. Yuji follows his instinct and goes to the center of the circle where everything looks fine, and he gets his feeling that something is hidden here. So he tells the slime to fall back and tells Dad to close her eyes because she is not going to enjoy seeing him destroying a forest. But she says that it was better to destroy a small part of the forest rather than let the strange magic destroy the entire ecosystem. And with that, Yuji destroys the entire area with the hellfire of demise. And at the center of the crafter formed due to his attack, there is an entrance to a secret place. And he decided to go inside and eliminate the root of this because he doesn't want to miss out the delicious food of the town. Yuji kicks the door down and finds a very deep man-made pit that leads him to go to an underground dungeon. And he tells Dad, the proud wolf, to go back while the slimes look around, and they find a high-tech lab nearby. Yuji wonders if this technology is really from this world. And then the slimes find something even more interesting, the red magic stones, and that absorb magic were being made in the facility. And suddenly some workers come running into the lab, and they saw that the current batch was a failure and run to their superior named Jarvis Hiroshi. And he decided to find the scientist named Xavier and want to know about his plan. And all his plan was ruined by the slimes who carefully hop around the place, and he uses the monsters a stealth skill on them to keep them hidden and leaves them to look for some clues. He goes back to the forest when the two of his slimes tell him that they found the two lab workers before going inside a room. The slime squeeze it through the teeny gap of the door and come to an iron door. They can only be lifted by pulling two levers at once, and Yuji orders slime to open the door and enters into it, and he looks for more clues until they come to a room with a ladder and climb it. The place the slime come out of the dungeon is the village of Masesias, and the village find the two men reporting to the Xavier, the man who pretended to be village chief but was a member of the cult Blue Moon of Salvation, and they were using the abandoned village as their base to create magic stone. And it turned out that the big explosion from Yuji's previous attack damaged their machinery, and now they can no longer create magic stone. They all panics, and they put together a team to receive the cursed one crystal from the forest, and he tells them to kill all the witnesses because they no longer have any need for this village. And he usually thinks that things are getting out of hand, and before the evil cult can do anything, he ordered his slime to surround the village and be at some distance from it. And next move is to look for the people in the village who are not a part of the cult, and they scout the area, but there is no one like that. Slimes finds a library, and Yuji asks them to bring all the books and documents to him. The slimes gobbled him up the terrorists who were just sent to collect the cursed ores, and they run into slimes and they get trapped in the magic net. But rather than being captured, they decided to end their life. Yuji did not care, and he orders the slime to stick with a plan, and then some slime report to him that they found a really tight door they could not open, and there are no levers to open it. But Yuji notices the circuit below the 5 candles and orders his slime to stand in front of them, and then they blow out the candle at once. And once the door opens, and inside it was a treasure trove of a human skeleton who was appointed as a guard, but then everyone forget about him. By the time when the cult member returned to the room, she is shocked to find the secret door open and treasures as well as their research materials missing. Then she reports it to the Xavier, and their connection with the scout team has also been broken. Then the cultists are now sure that someone very powerful was behind this, but one of them wonders why he has not killed them. Yet Xavier thinks that it is because the attacker knows about the cleansing flame that would activate if all of them were killed, and that would burn the entire area. Yuji is thankful for the knowledge as he was about to blast all of them off, but it seems that knowing it will make no difference as Xavier is determined to defeat the attackers at all costs. So he commands all the cult members to kill themselves to activate the cleansing flame. And then a nuclear reactor that looks like they stole it from Rick and Morty. The reactor collapses and huge tremors hit the village, and Yuji tells his worried slimes to gather around, and then they places it in a barrier ball before blasting them off into the sky. After that, he puts 3 different barriers around the village, and as soon as his slimes make a safe landing, falling, the land inside the barrier splits into a dark green flame and erupts. It is too strong for barriers to handle, and Yuji starts thinking of his plan B. But since there is no barrier strong enough in his skill, he decided to make one, and he combines his curse dispelling spells and ice magic to create a new spell named Total Isolation Array. And he encloses the cleansing flame in a perfect cube, which can effectively stop it, but it consumes a lot of mana, and Yuji MP is going into depth. And as the cleansing flame pushes against the isolation array and Yuji HP is falling to the cover up for his negative MP, he can only hope to come out of top. In the end, the cleansing flame bursts out from the top of their barrier and dissipates in a second. Yuji thankfully still has some HP left just as he has finished dealing with it. And it was a scary proud wolf comes out of the hiding, and Yuji said that there is no dinner for the slackers. As he returned to the town, everyone is worried about him because he disappeared right when he went to hunt the boar. And they say that they missed two explosions that looked like meteorites were falling upon them. But thanks to it, the snow was finally beginning to melt, and as soon as the weather in town returned to their normal stage, the townspeople are throwing a town bombing party. Quite literally, and Yuji is the guest of honor for providing them with much needed firewood. And also, since he defeated the war monster, the shot was prepared the best stew and the best ingredient in Yuji once again attains enlightenment with just a single bite, and he collapses with a smile on his face. He wakes up in his room still thinking about the food, but then he decided to check out the document he stole from Mrs. Ya. Just as he opens the first scroll, all the information in it vanishes because of some anti-piracy magic. This continues until there is only one document left with text in it that contains the name of the people the Blue Moon cult was after, and Yuji was shocked to find that the last name on this document was his name. After that, we saw a group of assassins are after him. That includes a woman in revealing armor and masked man who is itching to fight their last target. The woman tells her partner that he will not do anything unless she confirms that Yuji is a threat, and once she does it, she will take her time tormenting him to death. As they are talking, the masked assassin finds him walking through the forest using his eyes that have better zoom. And then Eugene left the gourmet town as soon as he learned that the cult association were after his life, and on the recommendation of the guild receptionist, he was heading to another town that was famous for its monster armor and would be perfect for a trainer like him. The slimes are also excited to go to the new town because they will get a huge power up there. But once Slimes tells Yuji that they are being watched, then Yuji has already noticed it, and before the assassin could find him, he was already spying on them with the help of a hidden slime. A spy, they moved closer to him, and the masked assassin uses his magic eye to find that his target was sleeping peacefully in the middle of forest. He wants to kill him right away, but the red-haired woman wants to take a cautious approach, and she wants her enthusiastic partner to not to try something funny. Only if he has a death wish, he can do it. And after a long time of watching Yuji, he concludes that he is just an ordinary tamer. But the woman wants to look over him for the entire day before coming to an conclusion. And Yuji can hear everything they say and confirms that they were indeed assassins sent by the Blue Moon cult. And he wants to deal with them right now, but if they run, they could put an even bigger bounty on their head. So he does not want that either. So he heads to the next town, and he planned to go to the shop of a famous blacksmith there. The assassins are watching him and check out the price of some articles and seems to be out of his range. As he is disheartened and leaves the shop after being shot away, then he bumps into a guy and apologizes to him, and then he goes to a fruit stall acting to be poor. The assassins are feeling a bit disappointed about finding that their target was even below average, and masked man is convinced that he is useless. But red hair still needs a push, and for the final act, Yuji takes upon a mask hunt some low-level monster. The assassins are watching him, and he decided to fight like tamers usually do, and he employed the proud wolf to fight the three bulls larger than his size. The wolf is scared, and he defeats the first bull just by instinct, and as the slime cheers him for the proud wolf, he realizes that he is still as strong as ever. Yuji remembers that the wolf was quite aggressive when they first met and tried to attack him, but he got captured in the magic net. Just as it got captured, the wolf lost all his aggression and began crying and begging Yuji to not kill him, and finally he got tamed by him. Now that the proud wolf has recognized his power, he takes down the remaining two monsters with ease, and assassins think that Yuji is better than he looks, and this is going against his plan, so he uses healing magic on the monsters, which makes them stand up again, and they charge again at the wolf, who takes him down once more, and Yuji continues this again and again until the assassins change their minds. But the proud wolf is still determined to take them down, so he has no choice but to strengthen the wolf who chase after his pet. They are quite strong in how Yuji wants to give the proud wolf a boost stew too, but this is the first time he shows his pride and tells him that he will finish it in his own way. He takes down the wolves, and now the assassins are convinced that neither Yuji nor his monsters were anything special, but one of the wolves still has some energy, and he charges at our hero, who just in an instant summons a sword and takes him down by blowing his head, and his cover was about to blow up, but assassins are confused by his activity. But after building up the tension for a few minutes, they agree that Yuji was just as ordinary tamer, and they decided to go back to report to their superiors. His relief and calls back his slime, telling them that they are still talking. Their next target is a priest named Style. As they report their findings to their boss, and he instructs them to investigate who was after Messias, and Yuji is listening it on them, and then boss also asks them to investigate their next target before killing him. And the assassins starts planning how they will kill a Style, and Yuji thinks that they are too dangerous to be left alive, and then he commands his slime to use ice magic to freeze them, and they react too late and become human candies. But what he wonders why the Blue Moon cult was after priest Style and how their leader know him. The next day he goes to the armor shop again, and the worker tells him to go away, but Yuji replies that he bought funds with him this time, and he wants to make armor for his slimes. As the worker tell him that his master Geisel is a great craftsman and he won't make anything for little slime. But Geisel gets angry at this and tells his apprentice that only he could make the decision. And then he greets Yuji and starts to stare at the slime for a minute before scolding his apprentice, saying that he was about to send away the strongest customer they had. Yuji is amazed at his evaluation ability, and Geisel says that he does not have any armor for such a strong monster right now, and he will have to forge them from the scratch. But there is only one problem in their way. And then Geisel explained that he does not have the material required to forging a strong armor for the slimes and the proud wolf. The apprentice is shocked that the slimes are strong, and his master replied that the tamer of the monster count as a set of his, and this was the strongest set he has ever seen. Yuji thinks that without the required material, getting an armor would not be possible. But Geisel shows him the exact material he needs. He shows them a purple-like thing called the Lesser Fire Dragon Jewel, and it has the best raw material available on the market that could be obtained by defeating a Lesser Fire Dragon. But not even such a strong material could hold the slime's power. And Geisel tells Yuji that if he can defeat the rare blue Lesser Fire Dragon, their jewels may be strong enough for it. Yuji asks him if they were the dragons in the volcano, and learns that there was a lot of Lesser Fire Dragon there, and a blue one might be present, but neither finding them nor defeating them will be easy, as they are stronger than the rest of their kind. Usually they used to find them, but before he asks Geisel if there were normal fire dragons here too, and he replies that there were normal dragons, but no one had taken him down in a century, and he advises Yuji to just stick with the lesser ones. So if he goes to the adventurer guilds and takes all the quests related to the fire dragons, and receptionist is shocked that Yuji says that he will defeat them using magic, and she tells him that magic does not work on lesser fire dragon because they are protected by their jewels, and she adds that the dragons were very weak against water, and Yuji replies that water magic was his specialty, and on the way to the volcano he could have crossed the river that was filled with a man-eating piranhas, and he took on the quest too, and Yuji goes to the riverside with his slimes, and they will ask for the way for someone who knows, and find a red slime that was adapted to the fire. Yuji tames it, and the slime tells him that the volcano is safe today. When he tried to find out, the piranha was in the river, but the slime can't see anything from the flowing water, and neither they can swim, so Yuji creates a new magic named slime net and sends them floating inside the river. The slimes find a deep hole on the river floor, and two of them go inside to check it, but they come swimming out as a giant pyramid chases after them, and they get caught in the slime net, and Yuji pulls it out and freezes it using the ice magic, but it breaks the ice, causing and attacking him, and Yuji dodges the attack before shooting a fireball through his slimes, and that is enough to get the job done. Yuji and his party continue their journey to the volcano, and now he has many fire slimes under his command too. The new and the old slimes chat with each other that they could reach the top of the volcano, and they do not even realize that there were dragons in front of them until Yuji reminds them that, and they panic even as they ask them to get to work. Slime trembles in fear, and they said that their mom told them how scary fire dragons were, and Yuji had no choice but to face the dragons on his own, and he tries out how effective water is against them, and he used a mild water cannon on the first lesser dragon, and he finds that it dies just by that, and its body releases a lot of steam, and it breaks down, and the jewel comes out, and Yuji takes it as his reward. Then the slime around the dragon, they are suddenly no longer scared, and they are determined to fight the dragons. They rush ahead of him, and Yuji shares water cannon magic with them, and they take down all the dragon, as he thinks that the fire dragons are too weak against against water, and his slimes notify him that they have found a blue one, and that is bigger than normal lesser fire dragon, and that looks a lot stronger. And Yuji ordered his slime to surround it, and then they uses water cannon through them, and the dragon gets a nice sword, but that is not enough to defeat it, and it brings moving toward the slime. Yuji thinks that just water will not be enough, so he uses ice magic to freeze the lesser blue, but it breaks through it, and he ordered his slimes to come all together, and he uses the freezing magic with 10 times the power, and thinking that this will be enough to get the dragon for sure, and it melts through that and then collapses. Yuji has won the battle, and the jewels falls off the dead dragon's body, and he thinks that he will get the armor made now. And after that, he decided to round up the remaining fire dragons there and spend the entire day committing genocide. And he returns at the night, having killed over 200 lesser fire dragons, and the receptionist cannot believe it, but she is even more surprised that the piranha was at the bottom of the river instead of the surface, and he sends out an emergency investigation team to find out the cause of this odd behavior. Then Yuji goes to Geisel once more and gives him not one but two blue lesser dragon jewels along with 200 regular lesser fire dragon jewels. The blacksmith is shocked by the quality of the jewels and start working to create some fine armor for the strongest tamer in the world. And in a few days it has been created, and a collar imbued with the blue jewel for a proud wolf and a half o slime. Geisel says that it is his best work to the date and tells Yuji to try it out. The proud wolf runs like the wind and feels as light as it is, and on top of that, slime is much faster too. Yuji wants to try out how the new gearbox with magic boost and puts mobility stamina, and he defenses boost on his pace, and they become 10 times as fast as before. He is satisfied with this test run, but Geisel wants him to try out his attack too. Yuji uses the range frost spell through the slime. Instead of medium, he gets an extra large impact, and the two armor smiths are shocked, but that attack did not did a lot of damage to the gear, and Geisel tells Yuji that it would break if he used the spells stronger than this, and they suggest that this was the best he could do using the material he brought, as if he could bring him a regular fire dragon jewel, he could do wonders with it. But Geisel is sure that no one has defeated a regular fire dragon because it is living inside the magma of the volcano, but only occasionally showed his head to the surface. Yuji was in his room, and he was thinking about what Geisel told him, and he wonders what would happen if the fire dragon come out of the volcano. And then suddenly his slimes reported that the lesser fire dragons are acting strangely, and Yuji immediately sent his slime to find this suspicious. Then slime found two men hiking on a mountain, and then suddenly Yuji felt an earthquake caused by a huge fire dragon who was on the way to destroy the city Boginia. Then his familiar reported that they were standing in front of the volcano, and following this, Yuji asked some of the slime to look forward of the fire dragon. Meanwhile, other slime reported that two suspicious men are heading towards the fire dragon. After that, suspicious men climbed the volcano, and Yuji overheard his plan. And as a result, Yuji decided to catch the guys, but they were able to dodge his attack. They were amazed at first, and they thought that they have activated a monster trap, and those men then moved on. And Yuji tried another attack on one man. Then Yuji's slime was spotted by the enemies, and Yuji suspected that his attack could fall, so he used his second slime to trap the enemies. Also, his slime was unharmed, and the suspicious men were caught by Yuji. Then the slimes gathered, and they were sure that they are being attacked by mysterious tamer. Not wanting to betray their organization, they drank poison to sacrifice their life. Then the suspicious man died instantly, and his slime didn't know what just happened. Then Yuji ordered his slime to examine the barrels, and they followed that and reported that they found magic stones in the barrel. After that, Dryad appeared for support, and she was surprised by the barrel too. She reported to Yuji that water in the barrels have effect to make monster angry, so Yuji used a spell to purify the cursed water. The slimes were happy, and Raj told Yuji that she went home, but she teleported back to the forest, and slimes said goodbye to the Dryads. Later, some slimes noticed that lesser fire dragon were attacking, and they were acting strangely. Suddenly, a man knocked on Yuji's door and wanting Yuji to run to safety, and many residents have already left the city, and everyone was concerned about the volcano. Yuji looked at the fire dragon, and he learned from the innkeeper that fire dragon would never show up when they have a rainy day. Suddenly, his familiar reported a big problem on the mountain. They reported to Yuji that the fire dragon started running toward the city, and also Yuji learned that a huge fire dragon had destroyed the city half a century ago. Then Yuji saw a dragon that could wipe out Boginia with its powerful attack, and Yuji decided to stop the dragon, and considering gifting this dragon with lots of water, and next Yuji familiar should find out if the dragon stops in front of the river. Suddenly the dragon stopped, and Yuji thought he wouldn't keep walking. His slime couldn't see anything because the dragon evaporated the whole river, and Yuji realized that he would need more water to stop the fire dragon from destroying the city. Yuji then told his slimes to get ready to fight against the fire dragon. And slimes were excited to fight, and Proudhook supported all the slimes. After that, Yuji started attacking the fire dragon with a strong ice magic. He was able to freeze the leg of the fire dragon, and Yuji's first attack failed. So Yuji prepared his second attack, and followed this, Yuji sent all the slime to cast an ice spell against the dragon, but it failed again. The fire dragon was angry and he attacked Yuji with his fire breath. So Yuji tried to counter the dragon's fire breath with a 20 times stronger ice spell, and he transferred his magic immediately to his slimes. Later that, Yuji came up with a new plan to defeat the fire dragon. Suddenly the fire dragon crossed the second river, and Yuji told his slime that he had a plan to win. And following this, Yuji ordered his slime to open the barrier to defeat the fire dragon with the collected water, and as a result, the huge fire dragon drowned in the river, and his family learned that one of their friends collected a huge amount of water from a barrier, and his slimes admired Yuji and they want to check out the fire dragon who drowned in the river. But the dragon woke up and attacked his familiar. Then immediately Yuji was able to protect his familiar in time, and he ordered them to find a shelter. Then the fire dragon wanted to wipe out the town of Boginia with a breath of fire, and Yuji immediately shouted out a strong spell, and he transferred his spell to his slimes. His slimes cast a strong ice spell, and together with Yuji they tried to stop the strong fire dragons. Yuji didn't give up, and he managed to overpower the fire dragon, and as a result Yuji managed to overwhelm the fast dragon breath, and his slimes froze the whole body of the enemy. After that, his frozen body shattered, and he dropped a huge giant jewel of the fire dragon. The slimes were happy about their victory, and they also happy about that they survived the battle against this huge fire dragon. And later on, Yuji was tired because he didn't have MP left in his body, and suddenly his slimes reported that they have found a strange device. And in the evening, Yuji visited blacksmith Geisel, and he showed him the item drop that he received. Yuji said that he defeated a lesser fire dragon, and Geisel immediately understood that Yuji wanted to stay undercover. And later that, Yuji visited the Adventurers Guild to learn information about the city of Odarion. So Yuji got the information that city of Odarion is a strange place who most adventurers are avoiding. And suddenly Yuji showed the guild receptionist the mysterious machine, and that's how Yuji found out that he have found a machine that can artificially cause rain. And Yuji was sure that the suspected man had their base in the city of Odarion. And the next morning, Yuji received a new legendary armor for his slimes. Then Yuji wanted to go to the next town, and Geisel wished him good luck on his journey. And following this, we see a secret place in the forest. And in the forest, there was an old man who craved divine powers. The man received a power-up, and he got muscular. We see Priest Stale. He was in the city of Odarion looking forward to meet Yuji. And next day, Yuji arrived at new city Odarion, and he went to visit the Adventurers Guild. Yuji was immediately observed by other men in the guild. However, he didn't choose a quest and left the guild. In meantime, he spied on the guys with one of his slime. And Yuji learned that he was removed from the death list, but one of the men still didn't trust Yuji, and he suggested killing him the other way. The next man said that Yuji death could cause problem for their organization, and then Yuji found out about their leader Walter. In addition, he was visited by Priest, and later we see a church, and Priest Style was already waiting for Yuji in the city of Odarion. And following this, Yuji learned that Priest Dale shared a past with Walter, and Priest Style told him that in his past he founded the organization Blue Moon. They were just a small group at first, but his organization grew quickly. Another day, Walter also joined the organization, and he quickly promoted to his right hand. After a few years, the gods wanted him to dissolve the organization Blue Moon, and Priest Style did not need the voice of God. Thus, a few days later, almost all of his followers were murdered, and his organization was destroyed. Later on, Priest Style learned that the attack was led by Walter, and he had planned to take over the organization. He then named his group Blue Moon of Salvation, which wanted to destroy the whole world. And Yuji was surprised by the creepy story, and Priest Stale showed Yuji a book of proof. So Yuji learned about the goals of the new Blue Moon organization. After that, Yuji learned that he has sent by the divine because he can use the legendary dagger. So Priest Style entrusted Yuji to save the world. And suddenly, Johan asked why Priest Style didn't tell Yuji the full story. We then see a henchman reporting to the Walter, and Walter was told that they found Yuji and Priest Style together in the church. After that, Walter opened a secret room, and he entered the hidden place. Then he started to pray to a magical device, and Walter learned that the legendary sage who can destroy the world will appear soon. He just need to sacrifice a special person in his life. And followed that, we see Yuji thinking about the words of a divine emissary. Suddenly, he remembered the words of a guild receptionist who once told him about the story of a sage. Next morning, Yuji tried to find Priest Stale, but he wasn't in the church. Following this, Yuji asked his slime if they saw two people walking by, and then suddenly a slime reported that they saw Priest Style in the morning, and as a result, Yuji decided to go and find Priest Style. And meanwhile, Meanwhile, Priest Style found a secret hiding place that was locked with a spell, and he used a magical necklace to open the entrance. After that, he found a secret room with Johan. Meanwhile, Yuji found new friends in the forest, and they all wanted to support Yuji on his journey. Then we see Priest Style again, and he has been surrounded by guard priests. Priest Style immediately activated a protective barrier, and he also intended to defeat the enemies. And following this, Yuji was able to find a secret entrance, but the slams were scared and they had a weird feeling. Then Yuji opened the secret entrance with a strong spell, and in the meantime, Priest Style and Johan found Walter's room. And following this, Priest Style was greeted by his old friend Walter, and Priest Style said that he knows his death will invoke the siege, and suddenly Yuji and his follower find vanquished enemies in the hidden place. Then Priest Style were fighting against all his enemies, and Walter was impressed that Style was able to defeat all his fighters. Suddenly, Priest Style was caught and he was paralyzed by Johan with a spell. When Priest Style woke up, he was shocked when Johan is a traitor, and he helped Walter to lure him into the trap. Walter said that they planned to cleanse the world with a cursed magic crystal. Unfortunately, a strong warrior appeared who was able to defeat all the summoned monsters. And following this, Walter asked if Yuji is the hero from the legend. As Johan confirmed that, and Yuji is the divine emissary who was able to defeat an ancient beast and stopped all their plans. That's how Walter learned about Yuji was strong enough to ruin all their evil plans, and they couldn't cleanse the world. Despite the failure, Walter was happy because he was soon able to take the next step to destroy the world. Then Walter had the plan to summon the legendary sage who have enough power to destroy the entire world and humanity. Priest still said that this plan will fail because Yuji will stop him, and suddenly the defeated fighters turned into monsters who become lifeless puppets. Walter then looked down on Priest Style, and he intended to sacrifice Priest Style for the sage awakening. And suddenly Yuji appeared, and he questions for Priest Style, and Yuji wanted to know more about the story of the legendary sage. And following this, Yuji was attacked, but he managed to block the attack with a barrier. And additionally, Yuji freed Priest Style and with a spell. After that, Yuji learned from Priest Style that the enemy name is Walter, and Walter was pleased to see the divine emissary and thanked Priest Style. However, Yuji was attacked by two strong monsters, and his slams instantly defeated them. Then Yuji and Priest Style were surrounded by enemies, and suddenly Walter managed to escape, and he went to a hidden room. Then Walter sat on a throne which was designed to give him more strength. Walter received incredible power with the evil device, and suddenly Yuji appeared to stop Walter's transformation, and they didn't make it in time, and he turned into a giant beast. Yuji tried to destroy the transformation fire magic, but Walter gained a new power, and Yuji was then attacked by his proud wolf, protected Yuji, and see that Walter grew horns out of his head, and his body evolved into a demon that could shoot a laser beam out of his mouth. Yuji immediately created a barrier to protect himself, and Yuji also attacked Walter with a slime. Walter was able to dodge it in time, and he was looking forward to fighting Yuji. And then Yuji, following this, prepared his next spell, so Yuji and his slimes cast a spell together, and they attacked their enemy with fire spell. Suddenly, Walter tried to fly away, but Yuji cast more spells. The slime shot fireball at their opponent, and they managed to hit him. Then Yuji's slime realized that her enemy is unharmed. However, Yuji told his familiar to use their magic gear which could power them up. Meanwhile, Yuji was protected by his slimes, and they were able to successfully activate the gear. Following this, Yuji cast many spells that enhanced and his familiar's power. Followed this, his familiar used their speed to surround Walter, and Walter couldn't get away from the two, and he had been cornered. As a result, Yuji's slime used a powerful fireball that his enemy couldn't deflect, so Walter was badly injured and his body had a hole. Suddenly, Walter discovered that the other monster, and he absorbed his comrade to regenerate himself. Yuji was surprised, and he attacked Walter again with a spell. But Walter was angry, and he absorbed the remaining monster into his body again, and he was able to evolve for a second time and wanted to attack Yuji. And following this, Yuji transferred fire spell to his slimes, and they shot Walter with many fireballs. And followed this, Yuji was attacked, but he managed to escape with Proud Wolf. Then Yuji was chased, and he kept attacking Walter, and after that, Yuji used a petrification spell, and Walter was overwhelmed by a result. He attacked Yuji with his Gum Gum Gatling, and Yuji barriers could no longer withstand the attack, and suddenly Yuji said he can start to activate his finisher move. So he tied up Walter, and his slime shot more wave at the Walter, and after being able to move, he was attacked by Yuji with his most powerful fire spell, and the slimes were happy about the victory, but Walter laughed. And Walter's last moment, he activated a spell. Style realized that he was wrong, and he then told Yuji to take care of himself. Suddenly the whole room lit up, and the magical energy of the dead monster was absorbed. Johan was absorbed as well, and Yuji protected him him and his friends with a magical barrier. The whole room glowed purple and Priest Style was shocked when the glow stopped and a new warrior appeared and he said that he is a sage. Yuji asked if the enemy is Walter, but Priest Style replied that he hadn't told Yuji the whole truth. Then Priest Style said that he had no idea that Walter there could summon this sage. And Yuji learned that Walter was preparing a ritual to summon a god. Yuji was shocked by the story and suddenly he was attacked with a fire spell. Yuji was able to deflect the attack, but the slimes were shocked because he cast the same spell as Yuji. And followed this, Yuji told his slime to get ready for the battle. Then Yuji began to enhance his slime strength with many buffs. After that, Proud Wolf jumped in the air with the slimes, so Yuji's slime immediately attacked the enemy, but Sage was able to deflect the attack with a barrier. Yuji immediately ordered his slime to spread throughout the air for the next attack. The whole moment was tense, and then slimes surrounded the enemy by jumping on Yuji's created barrier and followed all the slimes, and they attacked the guy from all the direction, but he was able to deflect the attacks with one hand. And suddenly the sage attacked Yuji's slime and Yuji teleported them away. Yuji's slime couldn't hurt the sage. Additionally, Yuji noticed that he was almost had no MP left, and Yuji tried to think of a new plan against the enemy. After that, all the slimes attacked together and he transferred a 10-fold ice spell into his slime. The enemy's whole body was frozen, but he immediately freed himself. Everything was getting tensed at the peak, and the slimes then launched their second attack and he used a 10-fold fire spell which slammed the sage into the ground. Yuji hoped that they would have won, but the sage survived the attack and Yuji was attacked, and he countered with the same spell, and the two were of equal strength in their attack. That caused a lot of damage. Suddenly, Yuji felt dizzy from almost running out of MP, and Yuji managed to overwhelm the enemy with his spell, but enemy wasn't defeated, so the slimes were shocked and the enemy survived. This was first time Yuji fight someone this powerful, and Yuji's fire attack following this, the sage activated a dangerous spell that would destroy the entire world. And this is how we see a purple laser beam caused by the sage, and he activated machines that can produce rain. Subsequently, the monster got angry and they behaved strangely. Come on man, that is just too absurd. And then Prince Style was shocked because the sage tried to destroy the entire world. Meanwhile, all towns were just target of the strong monster, and the adventurers failed to defeat the attacking monster. Suddenly, the monster started to hunt the adventurer, but a few of the Yuji slimes were patrolling around. And after that, Yuji told Priest Style about the artificial rain machine, and suddenly the sage floated in the sky and he transmitted his memories to Yuji. Yuji eventually learned that eventually another legendary dragon will appear who the next sage will have to fight. And this is how Yuji learned that this enemy wanted to redeem the whole world to stop the cycle. And followed this, the enemy attacked Yuji with a fire spell, and Yuji knew that his barrier didn't manage to stop the attack, so Yuji countered with the same attack and they caused many explosions. Priest Style was amazed at the clashing forces. Suddenly, his slime reported him that some problems with the angry monster, so Yuji transferred his spells to stop the monster going into the town. Yuji was using a lot of spell and his MP was in minus zone, and the troubles didn't end here, and Yuji was exhausted suddenly, and Drad reported to Yuji that all of the residents of Killed are gathering at the city gate, and the residents knew that Yuji had saved their towns and they were ready to destroy the monster by themselves. And this time Yuji then told his slime to help the adventurer, and then suddenly the other slime reported that residents in different cities had the same idea, and they all know of Yuji's strength and they wanted to do their best to defend the city. And after that, we see Gazel. He lent equipment to the knights. Then he said that ready to beat up the monster. Yuji was surprised because he always worked alone in the old life. However, Yuji was happy because he didn't have to face the problem alone. And as a result, Yuji was able to focus on the enemy. And before the fight started, he activated a spell to buff all his adventurers. After that, they all got stronger so that they could defeat the monster. And suddenly, Priest Star reported to Yuji that the gods were sending him a message. And following this, Yuji got an idea to drink a mana magic potion, and fortunate that he got a lot of this. And with the mana magic potion, Yuji's MP was restored and he immediately went into the battle. After that, Yuji was asked why he wants to protect the world, and suddenly Yuji remembered that he had friends that he had made, and as a sage in the isekai world, he wanted to protect everyone and wanted them to continue living happily. Then the battle between the two sages from another world began, and the former sage attacked the Yuji, and Yuji then blocked with the same attack, and after that the sage said that unlike Yuji, he has infinite MP, and suddenly a finisher spell countdown appeared. Yuji used the divine strike to his enemy and he was immediately seriously injured and fell to the ground. Then Yuji remarked that he can use the lightning spell of Pikachu again, and as a result Yuji attacked his enemy again and he was able to use them continuously for 30 seconds. Yuji then attacked the sage with several bolts of lightning, but his enemy was not defeated, and following this Yuji wanted to use his legendary dagger and he ordered his slime to help him attack to sage. So the slime jumped around and said that they were ready, and following this Yuji concentrated his strongest spell into dagger, and when the power was concentrated Yuji started to attack the sage and also attacked with the strongest spell. But Yuji created a barrier with his slime and used all their power, and Yuji was able to successfully trap the enemy. In Yuji's black barrier, the sage was shocked by the strength of the barrier and Yuji attacked the sage. At the same time, he managed to destroy the sage body, and as a result, Yuji caused a big explosion and Yuji won the fight. All the adventurers could feel Yuji's explosion wave and they were surprised that Yuji fell down from exhaustion, and he was glad to have protected the entire world. Later that, we see priest still in the church praying to God when he got up and he wished Yuji good luck with his further journey. And in the evening, his familiar asked why he wanted to leave the city Odarian. And then Yuji replied that the Blue Moon organization members are still alive and he doesn't want to cause any trouble. However, Yuji learned that everyone was celebrating and all the cities started a party and they were happy to live happily. Yuji's slimes told him about the happy ending in the cities and his slimes were happy too that nobody was hurt. Meanwhile, other members of the evil organization found about Walter's death and they still had the plan to destroy the world, and one of the members said that they will be able to use his secret weapon and they will sacrifice their own lives, and the members plan to summon a black dragon of ruin. Then we see Yuji's slimes spying on evil organization and Yuji heard about their plan and he didn't want to disturb. At dinner after that, a huge tiger appeared that wanted to attack Yuji, and following this Yuji and his familiars were surrounded by monsters, and the next morning Yuji arrived in a new city and he wanted to take an assignment. Then Yuji said that he defeated all the tigers on the way to the city. After that, the guild worker learned that Yuji alone defeated the monster and she thought all his party members got eaten by the tiger, so she tried to cheer up Yuji and said that their member must be in paradise. And then suddenly Magia appeared and she found out that Yuji orders, and she looked at the defeated monster and immediately noticed that Yuji had defeated them alone, and as a result Magia said that she heard rumors of a famous tamer, and then Yuji realized that he is known as a hero now, and also his clans were happy that Yuji was recognized as a new hero. And there the anime stops.